one for each child.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order our Oak Harbor City Council November 1st, 2016 meeting. It is 6 o'clock p.m. We'll start our meeting with an invocation led by Pastor Ron Lawler from Family Bible Church. Please stand and join us, and right after that, I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you'd like to join me in prayer. Our Father in heaven, we want to start off by thanking you for all the privileges and blessings that we have living here in the United States, and especially right here in Oak Harbor, one of the best places in the whole world to live. Thank you for the beauty. Thank you for the provision. Father, I also want to thank you for all the folks on the City Council and all the leaders in our city and the work that they do, the many hours they put in, the dedication they have to making our city the best it can be. And we do pray tonight that you grant them wisdom for decision-making and grace for the process. Take care of them and bless them. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Lawler. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So we have an absent city council member tonight. Council member Tara Heisen is not with us. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Tara Heisen.
Okay.
Second.
A motion by Councilor Allenberg and a second by Councilor Munns to excuse Tara Heisen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll start off with item number 1, approval of agenda. Yes, Councilmember Servatius.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to add to the consent agenda, item number E. All of us should have a paper in front of us appointing Amanda Zimmerman to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Okay, so we have is that a motion?
Motion, yes.
Yeah,
to
so we
add.
have
Second.
we have a motion by Councilor Servatius and a second by Councilor Wassinger to add the appointment of Amanda Zimmerman to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. Add that as item 4E to the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. First off, actually down on number 2, we have under our presentations this evening, we have the honor of listening to a community presentation by my friend Lynn Murphy from Puget Sound Energy regarding storm season preparations.
Great.
Lynn?
Good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. Just as an introduction again, my name is Lynn Murphy with Puget Sound Energy. I'm the local government affairs representative, and I represent you in PSC and vice versa. So if you have concerns or questions about our operations here on the island or even in the city, I am your point of contact. So this evening, give you a quick overview of what I'm going to talk about. We're going to go through a safety moment, our PSC infrastructure and our readiness, customer resources, some things that our customers would be helpful for them to know, how we restore power, things customers should know, as I mentioned before, and outage communications. So PSC is pretty big on our safety culture. Before we start any meeting, we always go through a safety moment. Tonight's safety moment for council is to remind you about the storm season that's coming up, remind you to look at your generators, make sure you have your flashlights and any other preparedness items in your home that are easily and readily available if we lose power. In addition to that, it's also, believe it or not, it's the season to plant trees and other shrubs in the fall, right? And so before we do that, we want to make sure that we call 811, make sure there aren't any underground utilities to be aware of. Most people consider calling 811 and looking at their utilities when they have large excavation or large landscape projects, and that's not always the case. It's even the small stuff. Planting a small tree can get you in trouble as well. So remember to call 811 for those locates on your property. This website that's up on the screen right now is a great resource for our customers. It's psc.com/safety. There are all the things that I talked about tonight, calling 811, looking at your generator, finding flashlights, and any other preparedness items for your home for the storm season. This is a great place to do that. So let me tell you a little bit about PSC's readiness as we prepare and get ready for storm season. Granted, we've already kind of gone through a precursor of our storm season. About 2 weeks ago, we kind of had a trial run, if you will. Luckily, it didn't turn out to be as bad as we thought it was going to be, but that hopefully will prepare us as we get moving forward in the remainder of the season. We have over 800 plus employees that have a storm response role. What that means is they are either a damage assessor, they go out and they look at our poles and our wires and any other equipment, trying to assess what the damage is. Is it large damage? Is it small damage? How widespread? That type of thing. We also have what we call storm-based communications. So when our damage assessors are out there looking at damage, they need to report back that information. We have storm bases located here in Oak Harbor. Sometimes we will put one up in down south in Langley. And then we also have our main storm base over in Burlington and Skagit County. Those storm bases, total, we have 7 regionally, so 7 total storm bases across our entire service territory. They have a dedicated 24/7 on-call team. So if our outages here on the island go above what our normal resources can handle, we will open up that storm base either here in Oak Harbor or over in Burlington to, 1, get additional crews, and 2, more damage assessors to assess that damage. In addition to those storm bases, we also have our Emergency Coordination Center, which is located in Redmond. Again, it's a 24/7 on-call team, and that manages all our resources, our resource coordination. Well, I mentioned our storm bases look at bringing in additional personnel and damage assessors. They also look at prioritizing that assessment and that restoration. So the Coordination Center down in Redmond, they actually go above and beyond finding those resources. So they may find personnel or crews that are out in Canada, out of state, that can come in and help with the restoration in our area, depending on how large it is. That was what we were gearing up for here about 2 weeks ago. We actually had crews on standby, and if we had just made the call, they would have been here for us. So in addition to that, all those employees that I mentioned that have emergency storm response roles, we also go through quite a bit of training to get ready for the season. They receive annual refresher trainers, so the refresher training, they actually go through a website and go through some basic refreshers on their training. Then they go out in the field and they start looking at different poles and wires and equipment and refresh themselves on the types of equipment that we have, any new equipment that may be installed. And then they actually go through the process of a fake damage assessment, calling that information into the storm base, and the storm base will start to evaluate and assess different scenarios or exercises. This is what we call a functional exercise. So we actually go through the steps of getting ready for the storm season. We do that at the storm base level here on the island and also over in Burlington and Skagit County, and then from a much larger a larger look at the Emergency Coordination Center, we'll actually do that region-wide. In addition to that, we also attend our outreach meetings and presentations that are held by the counties. So Island County Department of Emergency Management, I believe they're going to have one next Friday at the Oak Harbor Fire Department. We'll attend that meeting as well, and we'll exchange contact information and make sure that everybody remembers each other, exchange that contact information, and again, making sure that everybody is up to speed for the season. Some additional information and resources. So right here, there's a picture of our energy system restoration plan. This plan is on our website. It's at the psc.com/safety. This particular plan identifies our priorities in restoration, and it's a very high-level plan, but you get an idea of, 1, what our priorities are in restoration, where our storm bases are located, and the types of personnel that we have there. And it's a very high level. In addition to that, you can also find for our first responders some resources for them. There are some training videos on site. And then in addition to the online training for our first responders, we also offer an opportunity to come down to our Georgetown facility down in King County and go through a gas and electric scenario for first responders that are interested, so fire and police. So how do we restore power? So I mentioned priority a little bit already. The first thing that we look at is our transmission lines. So transmission are basically the lines that come from our generation facilities to our substations, or also called a high line. We look at those first. We want to make sure that those are intact and solid, and then we look at our substations. Our substations basically is, like I said, the transmission generation is transmission to substation, and from the substation, we have our distribution lines, and those distribution lines are what go directly to your house. So we look at our transmission first, then our substation, and then our distribution lines. When we look at our customer restoration priorities, we look at our hospitals and our hospitals, water treatment plants, essential services, any critical infrastructure that would need to be brought up first and foremost. Once we get that critical infrastructure up, we look at how we can restore the most customers at one time. So if we see a pocket of 25 to 30 customers that we can restore right away versus one customer at the end of a line, we're going to restore that 30 customers first. And then we'll go back and make restoration repairs to that one customer at the end of the line. So some things that customers should know. This is kind of helpful information when you have your power out and you're anxiously waiting for it to come back on, and you've called us a couple of times already and you still haven't seen anything from us. We have two types of trucks. In addition to that, each truck has a different type of crew. So our PSC trucks, you'll just see our PSC logo, that's what we call our servicemen. They're able to go out and look at the damage, maybe pull off a tree, maybe even close in a circuit so that the electricity will actually flow through the wires. If there's any extensive damage beyond just being able to take a tree off a line or close in that circuit, we have to call in our service provider or Patelco. They are what we call our linemen. And you'll probably see a truck that has both our PSC logo and our Patelco logo on it. When you see this truck, this is the important piece. If for some reason you see the PSC truck leave and you still don't have power, we have not forgotten you. It means that the PSC serviceman is unable to make the repairs and restore power immediately, and we have more damage or greater damage than initially thought. So the Patelco crew or that lineman will come in and make those repairs. When you see that dual logo truck, most likely it's going to be several hours before we get power back up. More damage, more extensive work that needs to be taken care of. The other thing most people don't know is that Puget Sound Energy does not have a large map with blinky lights that tell us when your power's out. Unfortunately, we only have two ways to know that you are without power. One is if you actually report it and call it in. And second is if we actually have a substation outage. So if the entire substation goes out, we have communications back to our facilities that tell us that, hey, there's a large pocket of Oak Harbor that is without power. We need to go out and check that out. And we will send out our servicemen and substation crews to look at that. So it's really important that you report your power. That's the whole premise of this, is call once to tell us that your power is out. And then if you haven't gotten it back for an hour or two, I would call again. In a storm season, or a storm situation, it's even more important that you give us a call. Again, sometimes our crews may go out and restore power to that 20 or 30 pocket of customers, and we may have missed one customer. And we may not know it because there's a small line that comes off of other lines. In order to know that you're still without power, we need to hear from you. So don't be afraid to call us every couple of hours to report your outage. So some ways that you can find us if you don't want to call the 188 number, there is the outage map on our psc.com/outage map. This is what you'll see when you come to psc.com first and foremost. You'll see there on the screen it has report an outage in the orange rectangle there. You click on that orange rectangle and it'll bring you to our outage map. This is what it'll look like initially when you get there. You can see the circles there, there towards the top up towards, it looks like Bellingham. I can't quite read that far away. There's a circle with a 3 around it. If you click on that circle, you'll get even closer in, which is that second window there. When you click on the little blue tab, you actually see when the outage was reported, whether it's been assessed or looked at by a damage assessor or a serviceman, and then it'll give you an estimated restoration time based on the damage that they saw and how long they estimate it'll take to repair it. It'll also give you a number of how many customers are actually without power. What that number is the number of people that have actually called in their outage. So if you only see the number 2, there's only been 2 people. But if it's a large outage, typically you will see anywhere between 30 and 40 on that number. So that's a good way to monitor your outages. The other way is through the MyPSE app. You can get that app on any of the phones, iPhone, Android, or the Windows phone. You download that. You have to put in Puget Sound Energy when you're looking on your store for that particular app, and you'll see the exact same outage map that I just showed you, but it's on your phone. You can also report an outage from your phone. I will tell you that the best thing to do is to log in and put in your account number right away. If you do not put your account number in and log in and you can't find it in the dark or you don't have that account number, it doesn't do you any good. You do have to have that account number to report the outage. If you don't want to log in and use your account number on your phone, you can still look at the outage map without having to log in and do so. So I'm here towards the end. I want to talk a little bit about some of the reliability projects that we've done here on Whidbey Island. We've had some substation upgrades down on Highway 20 at the Cootville substation. Basically, it's like taking your computer and upgrading it with a brand new system. It's kind of the same thing that we did down in Cootville. It allows us to restore power faster and work on the substation a whole lot quicker. I have trip savers down here, and I'll describe what those are, but we actually have something better than this that we're working on here in Oak Harbor. Trip savers are a small device that go on the end of a circuit. So as the line goes through, there's a small little window where we can open and close and switch power from one line to another. Sometimes when we, in those spaces, we'll have trees that fall on those lines. This trip saver will actually allow us to remotely open and close that circuit, if you will. So if a tree falls on the line, sometimes it falls off, and then we're waiting for a serviceman to go in and close in that circuit, if you will. This trip saver allows us to do that automatically and remotely so that you're not waiting, we're not waiting, you as the customer are not waiting for the serviceman to get there and close in that circuit. We've installed about 20 of these devices along the island. We're curious to see how they work. When you've got a heavily treed area like this, they're a great place to install these types of new devices. In addition to the trip savers, one of the things that we're working on is distribution automation. So there are 3 substations that surround the city. There's Hillcrest, Swantown, and Crescent Harbor. And we are currently installing some automation to allow us to switch from substation to substation. So if we were to lose the entire substation at Hillcrest, there's automation to allow us to pick up all the customers on that substation down at Crescent Harbor or Swantown. It just depends on what the load looks like at the time. But it allows us to restore our customers a little bit faster, and then hopefully keep them with power while we make any repairs that need to be made to those substations. We hope to have that done before the end of the year, but we're currently installing that right now. All right, that was pretty quick. Any questions?
Well, thank you, Lynn. Council? Yes, Councilor Muntz.
Thank you. Ms. Murphy, I was wondering, you had a picture of someone putting out a fire and stuff like that. If you're working on a certain project that involves a gas line or moving it or something, do you get a hold of or have some type of agreement with our fire department? Because usually if something happens, they're going to call, someone's going to call 911 and not think about PSE. And I didn't know if you update our fire department on some procedures or equipment or something, or, I mean, I would think there'd be some type of working agreement, because usually if, something goes wrong, they're just going to call 911 and said, hey, I heard this noise, I think it might be the substation that just blew up or that's near my house.
Sure.
Or
I would let Chief Merrill answer part of that question, but I will tell you that they do know our numbers. They know that if there is an incident at the substation that they will call us immediately. Same with our lines as well. We do have contact information that we share with the Department of Emergency Management, so Island County Department of Emergency Management, and they push that information out. Luckily, I have a personal relationship with Chief Merrill, so it's easy.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Ms. Murphy, we would like to thank you for keeping us updated, the mayor, the council, and the city as a whole, for that recent storm that hit Western Washington. And you told us about your preparation for the emergency, supposed to hit Whidbey Island, but it didn't.
Yes.
Well, thank you for
Luckily.
keeping us updated.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right.
Other questions, input? Well, thank you very much, Lynn.
Thank you very much for your
Much
time.
appreciated. Thanks. Okay, item number 3 is citizen comment period. Citizens may comment on subjects of interest not listed on the agenda or items listed on the consent agenda. To ensure comments are recorded properly, state your name clearly into the microphone. Please limit comments to 3 minutes to ensure all citizens have sufficient time to speak. So, citizen comment period. Mr. Potilla?
Good evening, Skip Patilla, 1090 Southeast Hathaway, here in Oak Harbor. I'm here tonight for the North Whidbey Community Harvest. That's the Thanksgiving dinner over at the Elks. This is our 16th year of putting this event on. And I just wanted to remind everybody that we're going to be doing it again this year. And the new this year's number for anyone who desires to volunteer, or if you know of anybody that needs a meal or meals delivered or would like meals delivered, the number is 360-240-0175. I've provided a copy of the flyer to the city, and they've got it on Channel 10. It's a real good program. Once again, Scott Frazier is going to come back with part of his crew and some of the culinary arts students to help with the kitchen. We're planning on doing about 160 turkeys this year. Roughly 60 of them will be smoked by the barbecue joint, and then the rest will be deep fried on site. And then we've got ham, about 800 pounds of ham, so we're looking forward to another good turnout this year. We do need volunteers. We also need donations to help put this on. The only way that we're able to do this event is through the generosity of the citizens, the organizations, and businesses here in Oak Harbor. It's totally driven or funded through donations. We've got several ways we can donate. I've got some donation forms. Donations can also be dropped off at Frazier's Gourmet Hideaway with Scott Frazier. He's our vice president, or down at the Old Town Mall with Melissa Riker. She's our treasurer. Her suite number is 103, I believe it is. And so you can drop in there, or drop in at my house, 1090 Southeast Astway. I live right across the street from the Help House, and donations are always welcome. Glad to see the folks there. The other way to donate is we do have a donation jar just as you come into the Elks Lodge, and donations are very welcome. I also want to stress, donations are accepted but not required to participate. It's really quite touching to see some of the activity that takes place there. And one of them that it kind of pulls at my heartstrings all the time. I've seen this several times. I've been there at the donation table area to sign in, and occasionally you see a family come in. They'll see the donation jar, and you can see the uneasiness of the maiden breadwinner of the group. And I've had several times I've gone up and said, "Don't worry about it." You know, they pull out the wallet and kind of look gingerly in their wallet. Say, "Don't worry about it. Just go in and have a good meal. It's on us." And the look of relief on their face is amazing. But what's even more amazing is every time I've seen this, as they're walking out, the gentleman stops by, pulls the last $2 out of his wallet, and throws it into the jar. It's truly an inspiring event. Then we get the fire department that comes in at the end and helps clean up. So it's really a community event, and we'd like to continue with it and keep it going. And we want everyone to come and join us. If you can't, call and have a meal delivered. If you got other plans, that's the main purpose. Have a great Thanksgiving. We just want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to have a good quality meal and a good sense of community at the Elks Lodge. It's at the Elk Lodge, and we serve from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. On Thanksgiving Day. This year it's the 24th, Thursday the 24th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Potilla. Yes. Thank you. Okay, still in citizen comment period.
Hello, Melissa Riker with the Oak Harbor Main Street Association. I just wanted to let you all know that we had our annual No Tricks, Safe Treats last night for Halloween down on Pioneer Way, and it was a huge success. It was really, really exciting. We were sponsored by Island Thrift this year. They gave us $3,000 to buy candy from SARS, which helped us out by ordering it kind of last minute at cost. So we got, we had about 29,000, almost 30,000 pieces of candy that were purchased from SARS. So that was extremely helpful. We had a a lot of help from Public Works and the City of Oak Harbor for shutting down the streets from 4 to 7 p.m. And it was just a great turnout. We had a costume contest. The mayor was there to help judge. Christine Cribb. We had a couple other community members. Rhonda was there helping, volunteering. And the fire department had their truck down there handing out candy as well. So it was really exciting for our first kind of my official event as the executive director of the Main Street organization. And we're really looking forward to improving it and expanding on it for next year. And it was just a great turnout. So it was great to see all the families down there, and the weather held out. So it was literally at 7 o'clock, it started sprinkling rain. So yeah, it was just really successful. So I want to thank you, the City of Oak Harbor, for supporting the community event for Halloween and supporting Oak Harbor Main Street Association. So we're really looking forward to this next year coming up with all of our projects that we have planned. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Riker. Okay, citizen comment period. Anyone else? Got a few minutes left? Going once? Twice? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are generally considered routine by the council. We really don't need any motion to approve. Unless there is an objection, we'll adopt the agenda as amended by the addition of Mr. Servadius's motion earlier. Okay? We'll adopt the consent agenda as presented then. Okay. Item number 5 is the mayor, council member, and city administrator comments. So I'll start off by announcing that we have some new art behind us here. The artist is LaDonna Everett. She is a surreal pastel artist. My work is eclectic, leaning strongly into surreal. Soft pastels and charcoal are my standard tool of expression, but I will often stray to other mediums as well. I love eyes and faces and emotions and cats and black and red and white. I love the dream world, the what-if world, the place where most folks don't like to go. Maybe what you see in my art will make you think, question, look into ideas from a different perspective. Maybe I can make you turn on some emotions that you don't normally turn on. Dali and Escher do that for me. For more of my work, feel free to navigate to www.dancingprophet.com. So that's the art of LaDonna Everett. I wanted to say a couple things about the last few days here in Oak Harbor. Last Friday, the 28th, I got to participate in planting the first Gary Oak tree I've ever planted. Captain Moore and I together dug the hole, and thanks to the public works groups and the volunteers for loosening the soil before we got there. A big thanks to Captain Moore and NAS Whidbey especially for allowing us to locate 30 trees along Regatta. A thank you again to NAS. They made that happen really quickly, and the Gary Oaks Society, I think, was there in force and a big part of that. So thanks to the Gary Oaks Society, obviously to our city staff and to the NAS Whidbey staff, the squadron members, and the many volunteers who participated in the project. I think it was done, and you can see those wire cages as you drive up Regatta right off of the road there. So 30 new baby oak trees just getting started, so it's really neat. And then Saturday the 29th, Rhonda and I drove down Midway and noticed a bunch of zombies walking along the road there. I want to thank to the volunteers and the businesses, especially along Midway Boulevard, that participated in that zombie walk. That started at the Playhouse. I know there were some festivities there, some adjusting of costumes, and then they had They had a lot of funny strides from there down to Midway Traders Village. Saw a lot of our own people there working, staff members working, Oak Harbor PD. We had cops on bikes. We had other city staff. Noticed the school district was involved at the up by the Midway Traders. They had a school bus that had smoke coming out of it. Looked like a kind of a weird, combination with smoke coming out of a school bus, but it looked like they were having a lot of fun. And then on Monday, I think we just heard about the Safe Treats, No Tricks Safe Treats. And Island Thrift, I can't say enough about Island Thrift and what they do for our community. $3,000 to buy candy, and it's just that's a really small amount compared to what they give annually. Island Thrift is just huge. Thanks, Island Thrift, and all involved there. Our Main Street Association is pretty new, actually, in the sense that. I think they're up and running pretty well these days. As Melissa Riker just told you, they've gotten all the approvals they need, and now it's a matter of working forward with their business plan. I want to thank the merchants, especially along Pioneer Way and the businesses that were involved in that No Tricks Safe Treats. It was a great family event. I think the parents were acting like the kids in a lot of cases. We had some really great costumes, and it was fun to be a part of that. I noticed school district, Dr. Gibbon was there also judging. I think John Folks, who's running for county commissioner spot, had his family there, and they were judging. I noticed Christine from the Chamber of Commerce. I noticed a lot of city staff. Oak Harbor Police Department, more cops on bikes. Looked like for the amount of people, it was a very safe event and a lot of fun. So thanks to everyone involved there. And then finally, Mr. Potilla, it's nice to hear about the Thanksgiving Day coming up, especially in Oak Harbor. I hear wonderful things about that. Usually I'm involved personally with family on that day, but I do have some turkey stories, and I probably won't go into them much here at the dais, but I used to work on the turkey farms in Southwest Washington, so someday I'll corner some staff people and let them in on my background there. So with that, let's go to the council. Mayor Pro Tem, you
No comment. Thank
okay.
you.
Councilor Campbell,
I have nothing, sir.
okay. Councilor Allenberg, no. Pretty quiet group here tonight. Councilor Wassinger,
Sure, I'll have a crack at it.
okay.
First, I'd like to also thank, along with all the businesses that have mentioned, for having so much fun last night. Also, just our community members, citizens at large. I was out with my girls, and they had a blast. And there's so many of our private citizens in their homes that make Halloween so fun and such a fun tradition. There were many people that just put a lot of effort, a lot of resources into decorating their homes and making them welcoming and fun for all the kids. So I thank all of you as well for making that such a fun tradition. I also have a motion that I'd like to make, and I wrote it down for Nikki so you can have it when I'm done. I move to add an agenda item to the November 15th regular city council meeting. This agenda item being a discussion of setting non-represented city employees' annual COLAs, or cost of living adjustments, to a consumer price index.
Second.
So it's my understanding we have a motion and a second. We don't need to vote on this. We'll move forward to add that to our November 15th, 2016 meeting. Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have.
You bet. Councilor Munns, you?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to say thank you to you for building camaraderie with our staff. I loved being kind of at home, wheelless right now because of the knee surgery, but seeing the pictures. But it means a lot from the top down if you are helping to build camaraderie and have a little bit of fun in the workplace. And I think that means a lot to everybody. And I want to say thank you to you, and thank you to the staff that dared to be out there in costume. It was wonderful. So thank everybody. But thank you, Mayor, for doing that. That means a lot, and we become a team and we become a family. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Servadius.
Thank you, Mayor. I wouldn't have known it was you except for the glasses giveaway. Just real quick, nothing of major import. We are entering the final steps here of the lodging tax season, and so we'll be meeting this Friday. I know the applicants are interested in that process. If the community wants to tune in, they're welcome to attend that meeting, which is 1 to 4 this Friday, which will discuss the different applications, hopefully give them a ranking, and if we're really productive, we'll actually get recommendations made to bring back to the council at our next meeting. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. We'll move on to City Administrator, 5C. Dr. Merriman.
Thank you. I have just a couple of items. One, to look at our schedule. November 15th will be our next regular council meeting at the regular time. On the following day, the 16th, we would like to have a tour arranged for City Council. And this is down at the wastewater treatment plant at 1 o'clock on November 16th to give you a tour of the current facility so you get an up-close and personal look at where we're at with the construction. Shortly after that, at 3 o'clock, we'll be having our regular scheduled workshop. The second item I have is the Human Resources Department should have sent out the dashboard to you guys, so you're getting that continually now at the first of the month. I believe we only had 2 positions on there this time, so it's a change. We've been pretty busy down there the last several months, and HR has done a good job at filling those positions for us. And then finally, my last item is just to introduce Joe Stoll, who will come up to kick off our wastewater treatment plant discussion tonight.
Real quick, Mayor. Mayor,
Yes.
you said we have a workshop at 3 on the 16th?
On the 16th, correct.
16.
And what may look funny about that, because the following week is Thanksgiving, this is one where that meeting was moved to a
Okay.
week earlier.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Stoll, City Engineer.
Mayor, council members, I want to share a little story with you, then I'm going to hand this off to Brett. But, you know, Brett's been with us about a year and a half now, and he kind of came to the city in it was kind of an awkward way, to be honest. We were originally posting a job position for somebody to help out with capital projects at Public Works. And we had some odd turn of events and lost our engineer that was working on the treatment plant. And here comes Brett in for his interview, and we have somebody who has a wealth of information on treatment plants, knows GCCM, or CMGC as they would say in Oregon, and has proven to be a great asset to the city. And so what, you know, Kathy Rosen and I were talking, and we thought, why not keep this guy around longer than the treatment plant project? Because we originally hired him as a 4-year term employee. And so that's what we've done. So I just wanted to give Brett some kudos for all the hard work he does. The treatment plant project wouldn't be going as well as it is without his support and help and vigilance in making sure that things are going just the way they're supposed to be going. And so with that, now that I've done a nice little intro, I'll hand over the update to him.
Yeah, I'm very pleased. Oak Harbor has become a home now, and so we're very pleased to be able to stay on.
That's great.
Get on with our clean water facility project update. Should push some buttons, I guess. You know, we take a lot of pictures on this job, you know, and one of the most interesting pictures is Hoffman actually has an aerial photograph taken on a periodic basis. And this was actually taken right at the 1st of October 2nd on a Sunday. And I always like this one because it looks like we have 2 cranes there. If you see the shadow there, that we took it late in the afternoon and we got a nice shadow. So I always enjoyed this. And so I pulled this one up and I started looking at it, and I thought it was a fairly recent photograph, but actually it's changed a lot even there. We've actually poured almost 2/3 of this area here and a lot of the walls back through here. So in a month, it just changes drastically. So we're excited to keep it going. But anyway, I've always enjoyed this photograph with the shadow. On our design activities, we're essentially complete with the design, both process and non-process. We are preparing a contract amendment for the Windjammer Park tasks. Hopefully we'll have that for you on November 15th. We're excited about implementing some of the master plan ideas. Construction-wise, we're continuing to place concrete for GMPs number 7 and 8. The self-perform work, it remains ahead of schedule and below our labor estimates. I had a pleasant surprise today. I was anticipating 2 concrete pours this week, and we're actually getting 5 done. So that's moving along quite nicely. We are negotiating another self-performing concrete package, which we call GMP number 10. We now have 3 of them, and keeping them straight can be a chore at times. We'll present that to you on November 15th, but we've kind of got the negotiation process down well, so we're happy. We have started the bidding process for GMP number 11. That's the non-process structures, basically the administrative maintenance facility. That one has about 20 bid packages in it. We have 6 packages, 6A through 6T, and there are a lot of local bidding opportunities. We're doing wood frame construction, concrete, roofing, windows, doors, a lot of very conventional commercial structures. So we hope to get some local bidders involved with that. So if you know your business contacts, please tell them to check our website. We have GMP number 9, that is proceeding along. We are beginning mechanical, electrical work. It's slowing down, but those guys are moving on site, so that's going to start picking up real soon. We're still working on the outfall. If you notice that we originally anticipated being done on October 29th, and the street is still closed. Unfortunately, we encountered ancestral human remains and other cultural materials on the project. With the cooperation of our MOA partners and our construction team, we've actually mitigated that and are proceeding along. There's been very minimal impact to our construction progress with those findings. I have to give ERCI and our construction team, we were able to work around that quite successfully. I can't go into details, of course, with the MOA, but we have had another cultural encounter, and it's working out. Funding, we just now obtained our amendment for the 2017 loan agreement. That's the $44 million one, and we shall have that in front of the council on November 15th. And we've also submitted our 218 SRF loan application, and that hopefully will fund the rest of the project. And we are also looking at refinance opportunities with that one. So we have some upcoming decision points coming up. Like I said, November 15th is going to be a busy session for us. We'll have the GMP number 10, the Carollo amendment and also the SRF loan agreement. We do plan on presenting at the council workshop. Of course, we have the tour before that, but we'll give you an overview of GMP number 11, but we won't have any numbers to talk about because we'll be still in the bidding process. We do plan on presenting that GMP number 11 on December 20th, but with the holidays coming up and the complexity of the packages, we may push that off till the 4th. We're kind of getting tight in our bidding process, so I want to make sure we get good bids and make sure people have time to respond to bids. Here's our schedule. We have now included down to GMP number 12. When I first started here a year and a half ago, we were talking 4 or 5 GMPs. Now we're up to 12. I'm hoping we're going to freeze at that. We're on schedule. Things are looking good to meet our deadlines and possibly move ahead. Can't make any promises, but we're going into wintertime and some equipment deliveries, but we're very encouraged by the progress we're to date. We're where we need to be to get this job done sooner. Project costs, this is the presentation we showed on September 28th. Not much has changed. Expenses are up to $29 million, about 24% of the project cost. If you look at the remaining balance, we have about over $90 million to spend. That's going to be spent the next 18 to 20 months. So our cash flow and management is going to be quite interesting for the next year. We will probably revamp these numbers a little bit after we get the firmer numbers on the bid, when the bids start coming in December. Public outreach, we are in the process of sending out a citywide mailer on the project. We do that on a periodic basis, and I think we're planning to send that out in the middle of November. And as we move forward with these presentations and reports, we may change the format a little bit and maybe alternate one where it talks more about financial information, when it talks more at alternating just to break it up a little bit. We'll kind of see how it gets busy. Other than that, any questions?
Okay, council, any questions? Yes, Mr. Allenberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Brett, well, I shouldn't say just Brett. But that's the way we talk. I have the pleasure and a fortunate opportunity to meet with the staff and the mayor once a week on this project, and often with the contractor watching what's going on. And I'm always amazed at all the parts in this project going on at the same time. You've got construction, design, estimating, finance, checking, verification of cost in the accounting process. All of these things, all these plates are in the air at the same time, and I think the staff does a pretty good job keeping those plates going. And you might want to comment, Brett, on our audit that we just had with respect to the kudos that we got from the accounting process and tracking all of this. That's a big project to keep track of every penny.
I actually have not been involved in that, but I think Dr. Merriman can talk about it.
What Rick is referring to is we had our exit conference with the state auditor's office. And part of that accountability audit they do on that is what we call a single audit. And whenever you get over, I believe it's $750,000 in federal money, there are additional audit requirements you have to go through. The city, for many, many years, has not had to do a single audit. And there's always kind of a phrase that goes around other cities that's, if you have to do a single audit, it's a guaranteed audit finding, because they're very difficult to get through all the federal hoops and everything and have those audited and come out clean. And we were very pleased that the city came through with a clean audit opinion on our single audit. And we got some extra kudos, I think, from the state auditor's office. And so it's kudos to the finance department and their work and making sure they're dotting those I's and crossing the T's and getting that done. So that was really good news.
Yes, it's Chris Bailey, and it's the amount of paperwork that we do handle down there is incredible. And our invoices from Hoffman are about this thick every month.
Thank you.
You bet. Anyone else?
Thank you
Well,
very
good
much.
report, and congratulations on hanging around Oak Harbor here for a while.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to move on to Section 6. Actually, we're all the way down to 8, where we have a contract and agreement to discuss. Second amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College. Before we start that, I just would like to say that if you wish to speak during the scheduled portion of our meeting, actually you'll have a chance to do that. To ensure comments are recorded properly, state your name clearly into the microphone. Please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes and direct them about the subject of this Second Amendment. So I see our Director of Public Works here, Kathy Rosen. Take it away, Kathy.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So tonight you have before you the Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College for the replacement of 16 HVAC units at the Oak Harbor Library and Hayes Hall building. And I thought I'd start with a little bit of history on our agreement with Skagit Valley College and how it relates to the building and those HVAC units. So in 1989, there was a letter of understanding between the college and the city which established the intent to design, construct, and occupy a building which would serve as an educational facility for Skagit Valley College and a public library for the city. And then in February of 1990, an interlocal agreement was adopted, and that established responsibilities regarding the shared ownership, and that shared ownership shall continue through the life of the building unless that something changes by one party and there's notification. The shared areas are the multipurpose room, staff lounge, restrooms, entry areas, corridors, and common area, the janitorial closets, and the reading room. So there is quite a bit of shared square footage. That 1990 interlocal agreement also established that Skagit Valley College would be responsible for the administration of the building and the site, including routine maintenance, minor replacement, and repair to the structure, mechanical and electrical systems, and that includes HVAC. Replace broken windows, lights, roof patching, custodial work, and then they are responsible for scheduling the use of the shared spaces. And any cost of repairs and renovations to areas which are exclusively occupied by the college or the library will be borne by that user. So if there's a repair necessary in the library area that's not shared use, the city is responsible for that. And then the cost and repair of renovations to the shared areas, which I just talked about, that's shared proportionally based on the square footage to the ownership. There was an amendment to that 1990 agreement in April of 1993, which established the cost sharing for utilities, custodial, and the routine maintenance of the building and parking. And based on the square footage in the shared space, Skagit Valley College is responsible for 56.73% of costs, and the city is responsible for 43.27%. So back in 2015, oh my gosh, yeah, going way back, but 2015, Skagit Valley College got approval for funding to replace the HVAC units that are on their portion. They asked the city if we wanted to coordinate and do a joint project because those HVAC units are 25 years old. So we brought forward an interlocal agreement in March of this year, which established the coordination of the replacement of the college-owned, city-owned, and the shared HVAC units on the jointly owned Hayes Hall Library building. And at that time, this was just strictly a budgetary estimate. They hadn't had an architect look at it, so there wasn't an engineer's or architect's estimate. So the budget estimate at that time for the city's share was not to exceed $170,000, and that included soft costs as well as construction. So after that time, Skagit Valley College went out and secured the services of an architect. They had it designed, and when they got the estimate back from the architect, it was more than they had originally anticipated. So in September, we brought to you the first amendment to this interlocal agreement, which increased the cost estimate based on the final design. And the city's share had increased up to $216,603, including soft costs and construction. So after that amendment, Skagit Valley College solicited bids. They received one bid. They found that bid to be responsive and that bidder to be responsible. And Skagit Valley College and the Department of Enterprise Services with the state looked at the bid, and they felt that that bid amount was appropriate as compared to the architect's estimate, and so they were recommending that they be able to award that contract. However, they're required to have a 10% contingency with their contract, and that 10% contingency puts us over the amount that was previously authorized in Amendment 1. So the Amendment 2 would bring our authorized amount to $228,605, including soft costs and construction. Staff has had a conversation with Dave Scott, who is the representative from Skagit Valley College that's been working on this project, and we talked about how that 10% contingency would be used, and he has agreed that we could set that money aside, and any change orders that would use any of that 10% contingency could be signed off by not just the college, but also city staff. So this, like the city engineer, could be involved in that approval process as well. So in summary, the original budgetary estimate was $170,000. Design level estimate, $216,603. The bid result with the 10% contingency brings our share to $228,605, which is a total increase of $12,002 to cover that 10% required contingency. So council can do three things, I think, from my read of the agreement that we had entered into in March. The first is you can approve the second amendment that's before you tonight. You cannot approve the second amendment, and Skagit Valley College may choose to terminate that March 16, 2016 HVAC interlocal agreement. They just have to give us 30 days notice. We've been billed $21,181 for design through mid-October, and there may be a few additional expenses that we might have to pay for. The third option is to direct staff to provide a 30-day notice to Skagit Valley College that we want to terminate that March 16th interlocal agreement. And again, we would still have some cost be responsible for design and miscellaneous. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Before we open it up to questions of the council, I think I'll open it up to questions from the public. If we've got any questions or input, or now would be the time. Okay. Seeing none then, okay. I know we have some Skagit Valley College people with us, and I suspect if we have questions that we might want to direct, we could ask them to come to the podium, okay?
Yes.
So council, yes, Councilor Servadius.
Thank you. We went over this fairly heavily in the workshop. The term soft costs, we hear a lot. What would you traditionally consider soft costs?
So with this contract, it's really the architectural design, and there's about $1,500 in miscellaneous costs for bid advertising and those types of things, copies of plans and that. So it's really for this contract, it's architectural and the little bit of miscellaneous.
So if you go back to slide 8, and I think where the discussion got a little more in depth in the workshop was you go from 170 to 228. We talked about a 34% increase. So either the original number was wrong, but here you originally said this was before an engineer, and I thought you said and/or an architect had looked at it. It was just a budgetary estimate.
Yes.
But this says budget estimate for the city share not to exceed 170, including soft costs.
That's correct, but that was, so the way a budgetary estimate works is you kind of take out a book, you look at previous projects, and you make an educated guess. So at that time, in 2015, this is what we think it's going to cost, complete project, not just construction, but to have it designed as well.
So we thought that would be enough for soft costs, but we really hadn't had any soft costs incurred
Yes, that's correct.
to get it more detailed. Okay, I'll hold it to moment. Thank you.
Okay, other council questions, input? Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the First Amendment, or in March 2016, the original city share was $170,000, and then that cost went up after the design was completed, and went up to almost $60,000 increase. Excuse me. Now, we have a representative from the city that also should look at the design, and it says on the March 16 interlocal agreement that the representatives from the city will have the right to approve all design material before the project goes out for bid. And was it done by the city?
So Rich Tie House received the plans and specifications when they were complete and ready and being advertised for him to review. So if there was if we needed to change something or saw something that should be changed, we had an opportunity to do that before bids were received. They could have issued an addendum.
So therefore, it's agreeable for the city for that increase in the cost after the design was made.
Based on the information from the architect, this is a bare bones project, and that is what their estimate of the cost was, and the bid came in fairly close to their estimate.
Is there a reason why I understand there's only one bidder made instead of, I think, at least 2 or 3 bidders?
As I understand it, it was advertised the way bids are normally advertised, Daily Journal of Commerce and other publications. The reasoning that we've been told by Skagit Valley College is the time of year and our location.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Right here.
Yes, Councilor Holmberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I had 3 pages of questions that I went over with staff today, and thank you for taking the time to do that, and several of them were the questions that were asked here tonight. It still comes down to the only one bid from Johansson Mechanical, a Woodinville company that appears to have a pretty good reputation. The conclusion that I have come to is I'm going to support this tonight. I think the downside is probably a higher risk by putting this off as opposed to going with what we have right now. A bit chagrined to say that I don't like one bid, but I don't think doing it again is going to make it any easier. We're talking mostly about equipment. And the downside with having the one bidder, as I had mentioned in our workshop, is the mechanical contractors will call around to the various suppliers of both the HVAC equipment and other materials, and it doesn't take them long to find out how many bidders are going to be on this list. And I think that they possibly could have helped themselves to a little bit of extra Halloween candy. Yeah. But I don't think it's out of line for all the other parts that take place here. And also I looked at the timeline when we started this whole process, and it's taken actually quite a bit of time for putting a small project together. In many ways, when we got started with the new administration, it's taken pretty close to a year, but we've also had some responsibility in the lengthening of that timeline also. So having said that, I am going to support this because I don't think the cost is going to get any easier or for us. I am kind of curious. The legislature or the DES group have a specific budget for this project that they're paying to Skagit Valley College. And I'm kind of curious if anybody can ask what happens if the Skagit Valley College portion of that project goes over bid. Do they get money from the legislature, or do they have to pony it out of their own budget? Of course, we have to always come out of our own account for our portion of it. Can anybody answer that question?
I'm going to ask Mr. Scott to address that. I don't want to speak for him on his budget.
Hi, I'm Dave Scott. I'm the Director of Facilities and Operations at Skagit Valley College. In answer to your question, I had to dig around and come up with the extra money. I cannot go back to the state and get more either. I relied on a couple of projects coming in under budget and then some discretionary funds that I had to spend elsewhere. So I am also digging for this project.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Is there anything else I could answer?
No, and I'm happy to hear that through the conversation that Kathy was talking about, that 10% gets banked and our staff gets the last bite of the apple. So that it's not to say we don't trust the other people on the other side of the equation. That's $50,000 sitting out there that could get absorbed into that project in a hurry, and I'm always careful about that. Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Campbell.
This is not a really tough question to ask or to give the answer to. Early on, you made a point of talking about the differences, 43.27. Later in the presentation, that number changed to 43.25. Is that going to jump up and bite anybody at a later time?
I don't think so.
I think the state's probably lying, quite honestly, and I'm going with the 25.
Okay, we'll remember that. Thank you. Thanks.
Anyone else? I have a question, if you don't mind. I think we had a discussion early on about the $170,000, and I knew where that money was coming from. Where does the additional $58,000?
That would come out of our beginning fund balance reserves for the general fund.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Servadius.
No other comments. I'll move to approve the Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College for the replacement of 16 HVAC units at the Oak Harbor Library and Hayes Hall building.
Second.
So could you go back to the slide that has that so I could read that?
Oh, there we go.
So,
Would
So
you
I
like me to
didn't-
restate it, Mayor?
Yeah, I did not put on the slide the actual wording that's in the agenda bill, so the motion would be to approve the Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College for the replacement of 16 HVAC units at the Oak Harbor Library and Hayes Hall building, and authorize the mayor to sign the Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College with the City of Oak Harbor's share of the HVAC replacement project is not to exceed $228,604.85.
okay, so the motion is made by Councilor Servadius, second by Councilor Munns, and you've heard it reread. Is there any question?
So, Mayor,
Yes.
I don't know if it's semantics. I moved just on the first portion there, and then I think we would make a second motion on the part two.
Yeah, I guess she kind of helped on that, but it would probably, let's do that. Let's take it one at a time. So the first one will be approve the Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College for the replacement of 16 HVAC units at the Oak Harbor Library and Hayes Hall building. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so looking for a motion. Yes, Councilor Servadius.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to authorize the mayor to sign the Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College with the City of Oak Harbor's share of the HVAC replacement project not to exceed $228,604.85.
Second.
So we've got a motion by Councilor Servadius, second by Councilor Wassinger, to authorize the mayor to sign the Second Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College with the City of Oak Harbor's share of the HVAC replacement project is not to exceed $228,604.85.
A point of order.
Yes.
Address that question about the 10% did not get addressed in the motion. Do we want to make a friendly amendment to that motion?
The question is, there's 10% additional to that?
Well, the 228,604 includes the 10% that Ms. Rosen talked about that has to be approved not only by Skagit Valley College, but also the Oak Harbor staff.
So if we're discussing the motion, is that in the documents or that was a verbal agreement?
That was a verbal agreement this afternoon, so if you would like, you could add a condition to this approval.
Would you like to move to amend that motion?
I would move to make a friendly amendment to that motion that the 10% contingency referenced in this 228,604 include a provision that any expenditure of the 10% contingency must be signed, let me change that, shall be signed by an authorized representative of the city of Oak Harbor.
So we'll test our acting. Did you get that? Do you want to read, would you mind reading that to us? Friendly amendment?
Yes, sir. I have the first motion. Councilmember Servadius move to approve the second amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College for the replacement of 16 HVAC units at the Oak Harbor Library in Hayes Hall building. The second motion was made by, I'm sorry, that was seconded by Ms. Munns. The second recommended action was made by Councilmember Servadius, seconded by Councilmember Wassinger, to authorize the mayor to sign the second amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College with the city of Oak Harbor share of the HVAC replacement project, which is not to exceed $228,604.85. And then I had a friendly amendment by Councilmember Almberg to include a provision that the expenditure, that any expenditure over 10% have a contingency that shall be signed by the authorized person from the city of Oak Harbor, which I have down as the mayor.
I'll second that one, the friendly amendment.
So we have a friendly amendment. Any question about that? We have a motion by Councilman Almberg, second by Councilor Munns for this friendly amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll go back to the motion to authorize the mayor to sign the second amendment to the interlocal agreement with Skagit Valley College. City of Oak Harbor share of the HVAC replacement project is not to exceed $228,604.85. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. And I think with that, we are done tonight. Yes, Councilor?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Let's go.